country song is very special. It's got lyrics that penetrate. It's got a melody line that can't be forgotten. It's got words that are meaningful, that are meant to be sung over and over again for many years to come. There are other forms of music that I like, but to me, country is my favorite, and that's why I like writing country. This is Bob Grez, and welcome to the Len Amsterdam Show.
Greetings from Canada.
Len, this is Joe Rayback calling from in the United States for that exclusive interview on your radio show.
So that's how you pronounce it. I've been introducing your music under the banner of Joe Rabbit.
No, not Rabbit. That was the dog. The dog is dead. Dog got eaten. There was a song about that.
I'm just kidding you there, Joe. I've known of the work of Joe Rayback for quite a while now. A very interesting niche you've got there. I would say it's country comedy.
Well, it is an interesting niche, and one that wasn't being filled. Pure fluke, really. Something Steve Goodman said before he died. All country music songs are written about mother, trucks, trains, farms, prison, dead dogs, and Christmas. Steve himself had even written one, but it didn't have dead dogs and Christmas in it. I just had to write one that had them all. That was how the world got I'm Giving Mom a Dead Dog for Christmas.
An instant Christmas classic. So why did you pick up the guitar?
I learned to play the guitar to impress a girlfriend. I no longer have a girlfriend, still have the guitar.
So, Joe, how is it that you chose to produce country music?
That question's been asked on SoundClick. Several reasons. Country music is simple, and I'm a simple kind of guy. Country music can sound good whether it's being played solo or with a band, and I do both. Country music is also a lot more literate. It's focused more on the words, and words is what I do for a living. It is, or at least it used to be, the only genre where a person had a future as a writer, writing songs for other people instead of having to perform them himself. And I've lived the better part of my life now in parts of the country where they only have two kinds of music, country and western, and I guess I've gotten used to it.
What do you think of the wonderful wide web?
I think it's going to kill off the music industry as we know it, and that'll be a good thing. Right now, the music industry seems to be going through one of its periodic circle the wagons mindsets in which nobody new is being allowed in so that those who are already inside the circle can maximize their profit. That's a valid business plan. AT&T is still using it. I don't like it because I'm on the outside trying to break in, as are a lot of other people. There are some real gems out there, and people with iPods and computers are finding those gems with the help of you and people like you, if there is anybody like you out there. If the music industry doesn't hurry up and co-opt a lot of those gems and bring them inside the circle, the music industry is going to become irrelevant. And I think that's what's going to happen because the music industry has lost, in my opinion, the ability to recognize talent. Well, I'm not one of those gems. I'm a writer. Once upon a time, I had ambitions of being a writer in Nashville and writing songs that other people with real talent, would perform. I don't think positions like that exist anymore. The stuff I write appeals primarily to people who attend live performances by real people playing real instruments. Dying breed, true, but there's still a lot of them out there. And that's a market the music industry isn't interested in any longer. I perform my stuff. I had to learn how to do it because mostly nobody's going to play my stuff but me. I don't expect to make a fortune at it, but it is fun. I do get real excited when somebody else covers one of my songs. I have had that happen twice now, and one of them is actually somebody else who plays live. He goes by the handle of Lone Ranger, by the way. Got to put in a plug for him. Note that both of those are independent, mostly unknown musicians, but it still feels like I'm fulfilling the dream. You know, they're playing my song.
Are there any sheep harmed in the making of Sheep Are Real Good Too?
No, the sheep are alive, unless they died from embarrassment at all the publicity you gave that song. And I can't take credit for the lyrics. They were written by a fellow in Utah named Bill Osofsky. I just set him to music. It is a neat song, and it is comforting to know that I don't have a monopoly on that kind of thing. The sheep that did the backup vocals in the song, though, I believe were recorded live. I got those from Lukewarm Water, who is another Canadian like yourself, and there really aren't any sheep around where I live. Just cows.
Now, a common theme in Joe's song is sometimes that of dead animals. How did that come about, Joe?
I was peering over the shoulder of one of the musicians in our Friday night group while she was leafing through her sheet music, and I thought I saw a song entitled Bluebird on my windshield. And I said, ooh, I want to learn that one. Turned out to be Bluebird on my windowsill. But I couldn't get the bluebird on my windshield image out of my head until I wrote the song. After that, people started feeding me stuff. I have 2 more Dead Dog songs, one where the dog gets eaten, and I have Dead Things in the Shower that I co-wrote with Bobby Gallup in Tennessee, which the Collaborators are recording, and the Christmas song I wrote with my daughter, Chipmunks Roasting on an Open Fire.
You did some work with Twisted Fox, a phenomenal guitar player out of Brisbane, Australia, in collaboration with the Collaborators. Now that band, they're made up of members that are from all around the world, from what I understand.
True. Twist is from Australia. Vic is from Mississippi. Vicky is from BC. Cliff from California. Mo lives somewhere in Canada too. I'm in Oregon. I'm not sure where the rest of them are. We've never met in person, but this is a really tight band. When you hear their recording, it sounds like they're all in the same room. I appreciate being able to play with them, and they've recorded 3 of my songs thus far. We have talked about doing a reunion get-together so we could finally meet for the first time. The Collaborators is one of those cutting-edge things that could only exist because of the internet. I have noticed other groups of musicians starting slowly and tentatively to do the same thing. This is one of the options for music in the 21st century. You can assemble talent literally from all over the globe and produce works of art. Should I mention that the music industry hasn't figured this out yet? Or should we keep it a secret?
Well, it won't be a secret for long. Joe, what did you do for a day job, or what was your career?
Former advertising manager here.
Oh, so that's what you meant by earning your living with words. Now put yourself in the listener's shoes. What do you think about the choices available to the listener with the independent music that has been placed on the web?
There's a plethora of choices out there. I've compared it to a stash of diamonds in a sewer plant. Yes, there are gems, but you have to wade through a lot of crap to get to them. Internet music needs filters. Somebody to identify the gems and pluck them out and show them off to everybody. That's what the old radio station DJs and concert promoters did in the 1950s and 60s. And that's what you're doing. I don't see a lot of other people doing it, and none of them doing it on the scale that you are. You've been called the Alan Freed of the Internet, and that's not too far off.
Well, Joe, I'm going to take that as a compliment. Thank you very much. Hey, now I've been asking all the questions. Do you have a question for the world infamous Len Amsterdam?
Well, yeah. Virtually all of your promos include a photo of a dog. Your dog?
That's my dog.
What's his or her name?
Her name is Pepper Scott.
And what kind of music does she like?
Isn't it obvious, Joe? Country music. Well, that's a wrap. I'd just like to thank Joe Rayback for swinging in from the good old USA. Mr. Rayback is on the top of my playlist and should be on yours too. Take it away, Joe.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, males, females, in-betweens and not sures, this is the Len Amsterdam radio show. exposing and promoting the best independent artists and writers since, well, nobody was really doing it before Len was. If it weren't for this, a lot of us would not be famous or be getting cuts or record sales outside of our own hometowns. Thanks a lot, Len.
Temperature dropping. Mom hid her stash before she went shopping. The radio, boring. TV was crap. Too young to have sex. Too old for a nap. Good music could help chase them old blues away. But weren't gonna happen this cold, cold, wet day. And then he just sort of showed up dripping wet. That feline from Fender, cat with a strap. He said, "What for you staring like that?" It's been raining dogs, it's nicer in here. I'm ready to party, anyone got a beer? And the fish, did you think Mom would leave us alone? Yelled,
"Don't talk to strangers when your mother ain't home."
The cat only grinned and said, "Please do not waste time listening to him. Fish ain't got no taste." I play R&B, rock, reggae, and rap. I can even do country, said the cat with a strap. I can purr like a Buick, like Elvis I wail, and you should see the stuff I can do with my tail. I can play really hot licks, said the cat. I know lots of songs, said the cat with a strap. This here's a new one, I know you'll like this. It's called What to Do When Annoyed by a Fish. Like eagles would fly were they wingless and damp. The fish soared through the air and into the lamp. They were sparking and smoking, fuses blew out. The smell of fried fish permeated the house. Really tasty, I like 'em like that. A fish and a lamb, said the cat with a strap. He brought in his roadies, amp 1 and amp 2, and yelled out instructions for things we could do. 5 things that go clatter, shatter, and splat. I need some percussion, said the cat with a strap. So we battered around every pan we could take. Especially fun were the things that could break. It was up by the glassware we found Mama's stash. And things got a little confused after that. We played like the Stones, or maybe they're brothers, minus Jagger and Richards, 2 or 3 others. Tatters, furniture broke, and every room filled up with foul-smelling smoke. When Mom got back home, the cat up and split, saying he wasn't cleaning up one little bit. The bed without supper weren't really so bad. We'd had lots of munchies with the cat with the strap. Well, insurance will fix things, 'cause Mama maintained it was drug-crazed preteens driven nuts by the rain. The cat ain't come back. Mom don't believe. If it weren't for the claw marks, neither would we. She's convinced we're the ones drinking beer from a dish. And she still hasn't noticed she's missing her fish.
Len, when I heard that Potato Day was soon approaching in Canada, oh, fond memories I'll never forget as a child. I visited your lovely country and, oh, it was Potato Day. I'm getting misty-eyed just reminiscing, all choked up. My mother put my cutest dress on and had me go up on stage at the potato fair. It was my favorite dress, made out of brown potato burlap. Oh, touching memories. I remember singing the traditional potato song. Everyone cried. The song can still make me cry to this day. Len, wishing you the smashiest Potato Day ever, and thanks for the memories.
In the early days of the Canadian music scene, there was a company called London Records that would be pressing the majority of the records for the record companies in Canada. The Melbourne release of the Rainbows' first album was reproduced by London Records. The Rainbows would buy a few hundred copies at a time to sell at their gigs. One of the shipments sent out turned out to be partially defective, with half the songs having the vocals really low. The Rainbows didn't find out about this until they started getting feedback from DJs pointing out that they couldn't use songs off the Rainbows album because of the sound quality. This just goes to show you there's a lot of hard work and a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes in producing a hit record. The Rainbows, All Your Fault.
Daydreams falling apart, false love is breaking my heart. Kisses tell only lies. My heart was gay, now it just cries. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. How can you treat me this way? I find a love that is true. I'm sure I'd forget about you. I'd let your heart break away. My heart is ached, and I'd laugh and say, it's all your fault. It's all your fault. It's all your fault that I'm left feeling this way. Daydreams falling apart, false love is breaking my heart. Kisses tell only lies. My heart was gay, now it just cries. Now it just cries. Now it just cries. Now it just
Len, you have a very important call from a very important man being considered tonight, but you may take the call of the Len Amsterdam hotline.
Why, thanks, Queenie. Hello, you are talking to the one and only Len Amsterdam from Canada.
Hi, Len. This is Morris B. Rainville from Sudbury, Canada, phoning in to do an interview for the Len Amsterdam radio show.
Hey, Morris. We'll just start off by saying I'm seeing a pattern develop here with you in the white cowboy hats. Can we expect in the future to see you heading over to the dark side and putting on a black Stetson? Maybe scuff up those cowboy boots a bit?
Well, I don't know, Len. I've developed this image as a hard-working, clean-living, sharply dressed Canadian country gentleman. A black hat might get people thinking I'm some mean hombre, when that is not the case. Unless, of course, I'm working on a song with the wild man from Brisbane.
Who? Well, image is everything. So what was your first instrument?
Well, my first instrument was a Palm Beach guitar from the Sears catalog, and the strings were a half-inch from the neck. About 2 guitars later, I finally got my Martin flat top, and then later on my Fender Strat. My Martin is still the one that I use all the time today.
So, Mr. Rainville, who are your musical influences?
Musical influences. There are so many. I guess you could say the beginning, Hank Williams, and then later on Hank Williams Jr., Bill Monroe, Ray Charles, David Allan Coe, now straight from the heart. The Eagles, Merle Haggard, J.J. Cale, Vern Gosdin, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, and there's so many more.
How would you classify your music?
Well, I can't really classify my music. I would say country, some traditional, some folk style. When I work on a song, I think about that after it's finished. I play what I feel at the time. I don't try to follow a trend, as you might call it.
What do you think is important in this life?
I think the importance in life is helping others with any knowledge that you have that will help make their life better. Since we are all one, sharing with others is the ultimate purpose for being here on this third rock.
Wow, that's pretty heavy, Mo. What brings on a good song?
Well, the best songs come through the subconscious and always seem to write themselves. Songs about real life happenings always seem to have the most success.
So what do you think of the World Wide Web?
Oh, the internet, that's the greatest thing to happen in a long time. It is revolutionizing the music industry. I feel like I have made so many friends I've never even seen. It seems to make We Are All One much more a reality.
Pretty heavy, Mo.
Thanks to people like yourself who use your radio stations to make those songs heard. Also thanks to sites like Project Overseers, SoundClick, SongPlanet, Funender, MySpace, and many others. The people who started these sites knew what the future of music would become.
Did the Mississauga man really live in Mississauga? Talk a little bit about the Mississauga man.
Well, I moved to Mississauga in 1985, and in the early 90s, after having a few singles on the country charts in RPM Weekly, I was thinking of releasing a CD. I was working with this melody on guitar, and my wife heard it. She went in the other room and emerged about a half hour later and told me, "Here, I have the song and title for your CD." The song was called The Mississauga Man, and that became the CD title. The song was in the RPM Top 20 country charts in 1993 and charted for a total of 17 weeks.
How long have you been singing?
Well, then, from the earliest I can recall, I used to sing all the time. There was always such a strong desire there that eventually I started singing with any bands, any chance I could get, until I had my own.
That brings me to my next question. Who were the Rainvilles?
Our first recordings were on the Melbourne label in Canada in the 70s, and my wife and I were known as the Rainvilles. 2 albums were released, and we had 5 or 6 singles reach the top 20 on RPM country charts during those years.
Well, that's a wrap. I just want to thank Morris P. Rainville for swinging by. Morris P. Rainville is on the top of my playlist and should be on yours too. This is the Len Amsterdam Show, broadcasting from Canada, heard worldwide.
This is Morris P. Rainville telling you that Len Amsterdam doesn't have record company consultants telling him what to play. He plays a wide variety of music people love to hear. You're presently listening to the Len Amsterdam Show.
Well, I never will forget that floating bridge. Well, I never will forget that floating bridge. Well, I never will forget that old floating bridge. Took me 5 minutes underwater when I was here. When I was going down, I throwed up my hands. Yeah, when I was going down, I throwed up my hands. Now I was going down, I throwed up my hands. Lord, please take me on dry land. Now they carried me out of the water, they laid me on the bank. Now they carried me out of the water and they laid me on the bank. They carried me out of the water, they laid me on the bank. Now the gallon of muddy water I had drank. They drive me off and they laid me on the bed. Now they drive me off and they laid me on the bed. Now they drive me off, they laid me on the bed. Don't like muddy water running through my head. Now my mother often taught me, don't you be no bum. Mother often taught me, don't you be no bum. Now my mother often taught me, son, don't you be no bum. Go somewhere, settle down, find someone. Now the people standing on the bridge was a screaming and crying. Well, the people on the bridge, it was a screaming and a crying. Now the people on the bridge was standing, screaming and crying. Lord, I thought sure enough that I was dying. Well, I never will forget that floating bridge. Well, I never will forget that floating bridge. I never will forget that old floating bridge. Took me 5 minutes underwater and I was here. Took me 5 minutes underwater, I was here.